It's back to school and Scientology is coming for your kids. A protester was swatted, and we're going to talk about some ways to spot a cult, which are some things that if you have kids, especially in college, you might want to share it with them. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Natalie. This is Scientology Life After a Cult. Thank you for all the members being here, everybody in the live chat, and thank you to my moderators for helping us keep the wheels on the bus as we work through quite a bit of Scientology cult news. Oh, it's just Scientology, the cult that keeps on giving in all of the wrong ways, and I'm just here daily to point it out. All right, let's get into this. Let's start off with talking about some tips on spotting a cult. Sarah Edmondson, who you might remember from NXIVM, she's done, in fact, we're going to look at a clip from a TED Talk of hers. She has done, she's done so many interviews. She was involved in the documentary with NXIVM. And if you guys don't know about NXIVM, that is a rabbit hole to go down. That is a cult. Keith Raniere went to prison, and apparently he got his start in Scientology. I've been wanting to do a deep dive about that. I got to remember to do that. So my people who help me remember, deep dive into NXIVM and Colt Raniere's connection to Scientology. Help me remember that. I appreciate it. So let's take a look at this, because I'm like, you know what? It is back to school, especially with kids in college. You're going to see some clips coming up in this video that are going to be kind of disturbing, because this, college kids are going back to school right next door to this cult. But there is something being done about it. So let's just start with this. Some ways we can spot a cult.
Are you part of a course or a group that's telling you that they've got the answers to life's questions? Or even better yet, the answers and the solutions to the world's problems? Careful, that's dogma or doctrine. And those courses you're buying could just be classic indoctrination. You feel righteous about a group being the right way or the only way? That's basic us versus them mentality that's baked right in. That's a very convenient way for culty bad guys to isolate you from other people and the outside world. All of these tactics, offering answers and solutions and community and love and all these good things, it's just what binds you to the group.
This really speaks to me, because so much about Scientology that really helps people get trapped in there as a cult is that they are the only ones with the answer. And for me, that is always a red flag when anybody thinks they have the one way to do anything, if I'm being honest. Anytime if I hear this is the only way or this is the one solution for, I'm like, I'm out. I'm out. You are not making me a sister wife. You are not having me join Amway. Like, whatever the thing is, I am out. And of course, too, right, with my history, being in a cult and all, this is why I get a bit of anxiety on airplanes. Not because I'm afraid the flight is going to crash. I'm not. I am just so on alert that some stranger is going to want to make me a sister wife or join their cult or something like that, that I'm like, don't talk to me, stranger. Don't talk to me. It's not that bad, but it does go through my head, which makes sense. And again, when I hear that, for me, those are like red flags. The only way, the only solution, because that was so much about what Scientology is, how they get people to stay trapped in there. Now, it's not like you guys don't know why Scientology is a cult, but another scary thing I want to share and bring again to the forefront is L. Ron Hubbard's involvement with Aleister Crowley and black magic and the whole sex cult thing. Because again, we've got kids going back to school in college. You're going to see some clips coming up about that. So let's take a look at this. This is from Tom Cruise, Scientology and Satanism. It was a video, or is a video here on YouTube. And I grabbed a couple clips and was like, ugh. And I want to preface this with saying Scientologists don't know this, okay? Scientologists do not know this, the vast majority. I never met a Scientologist in Scientology who ever spoke about this. Not like they couldn't. They could anyways if they wanted to. They would not be able to. But it is creepy. It's so creepy to hear L. Ron Hubbard's voice. You guys know I hate it. I hate L. Ron Hubbard's voice from hours and hours and hours and hours of being forced to listen to his lectures, his indoctrination, his brainwashing. Ew. So I apologize in advance for making you guys listen to it. But this is a really something to keep in mind about how Scientology came about. This is the founder of Scientology speaking.
Modern work that has anything to do.
And the audio is Jack. I know. I don't know. It's not on my end. I think it's just because it's an old recording by Elon Harbors.
Is travel wild in spots, but it's fascinating work in itself. And that's work written by Aleister Crowley, the late Aleister Crowley, my very good friend.
Did you hear that? His very good friend. And let's just read this quote here so we don't have to listen to his voice too much. The magic cults of the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th centuries in the Middle East were fascinating. The only modern work that has anything to do with them is a trifle wild in spots, but is a fascinating work in itself. And that's the work of Aleister Crowley, the late Aleister Crowley, my very good friend. He signs himself the Beast, Mark of the Beast, 666. What can you imagine if Scientologists were introduced to that right off the bat? I don't even know what that comes from. And if somebody knows, go ahead and throw it in the chat for me. Or if you're on the replay, put it in the comments. I want to hear if anyone knows where that comes from. Does that matter to you? Not to me. Sounds like a stretched reel to reel. It does. Back in the day, back in my day. All gather around for back in my day. Back in my day, we had to use these reel-to-reel tapes, like this round thing with the tape all around it. We had to hook it onto this machine. And then the thing would get stretched and it would sound funny. It was a whole thing. I hated it. Then they switched to cassette tapes and now they're using CDs. You heard that right, CDs, not digital, not in a cloud somewhere that I know of. If I'm wrong, you guys tell me. I'm not aware of it. Scientology is still using DVDs and CDs. Let's see. Oh, side note too, that whole 666 thing. I remember one time, this is just a little side story. When I was in Scientology, I tried to get involved with different organizations. Like I thought, if we can actually get involved in the community, find out what's needed and do that, then it would be a good thing. So I volunteered to get some volunteers together and do coat drives and school supply drives and other things with other organizations like Catholic Charities, I believe was one of them. And we had to drop our stuff off. And when you dropped your stuff off, and I forget what we were doing, if it was as Church of Scientology or one of the front groups, but it definitely was clearly that we were from Scientology. They assigned you a number when you dropped your things off. And the number that we were assigned, I'll let you guess. What number do you think Catholic Charities would assign Scientology when they showed up for something? Can anybody guess? I want to see if you guess before I tell you. And if you're catching this on the replay, jump in those comments and play along as well. The number that we were assigned was 666. Well played, Catholic Charities. Well played. At the time, look at you guys were already guessing it. Yes, exactly. At the time, I was offended. I was like, oh, why would you do that? Because I didn't know. I didn't know the history of L. Ron Hubbard and black magic and Aleister Crowley and Satanism and all of that. I did not know. It wasn't until I left Scientology. But I'll tell you this, it stuck in my head. Why would they think this? So when little things, it's such a small thing. Somebody there probably was like, yeah, you know what? Screw these people. This is Scientology. They're a cult. Let's give them the number 666. Giggle, giggle, giggle. But it stuck with me and it made a difference. And it was a little thing, but it really, as a Scientologist, kind of made me stop in my tracks, which each time we can do that with somebody in Scientology, or let's be honest, any cult for that matter, stop in their tracks and think about this. It is one step towards them opening their eyes and waking up and actually leaving the high control group or, you know, Scientology. Yep, you guys are catching it. You're right. It was 666. Paralyzed to Paralyzed says the 666 Beast Buddy recording is from December 1952, possibly the PDC lectures, but I'd need more time to confirm. Okay, I'm curious. If you find out, can you let me know? Natalie at lifeafteroccult.com. And the PDC is the Philadelphia Doctrine course. It is it's just a ton of lectures. It takes forever to do. I don't even think a ton of people do it anymore. Well, they do, but you know, there's not a ton of people. My daughter Shelby did it. It's a big course. It really is. All right, let's see here. What are we on to next? Oh my goodness. I have another clip from this where L. Ron Hubbard Jr. talks about his dad getting involved in this whole Satanism, Aleister Crowley thing. from back in the day. Listen to this.
Elon Hubbard Jr., who witnessed his father's discipleship under Crowley, admitted his father was a Satanist and a follower of Crowley.
Well, the funny thing is that the actual truth is about as far out as Scientology itself. Really, the basis of Scientology, which is rather hidden and covered over, is the occult, the deep involvement with satanic powers.
And that's Elon Harbors Son talking about that. And so one to witness, did Hubbard incorporate Satanism into Scientology? Well, this is what his son is saying. And to be honest, I don't know a ton about Satanism that I would even necessarily recognize it. And if he did, he definitely changed it in some way or repackaged and rebranded. Because let's be honest, that's what Elon Hubbard does. He repackages and rebrands something to make it sound like it was his own. So he totally could have. I think that he did. What I'm interested in, and especially of you who've studied Scientology, especially in the early years, I'd love to hear from you, because I want to kind of, like I said, do a bit of a deeper dive into that. What are the actual ties? Are there things in Scientology that I noticed? I am so sweaty right now, you guys. I'm getting distracted by it because right before I started the video, I got distracted in my bathroom. I had to clean it. So now I'm all sweaty. Okay, totally getting distracted there. Okay, let's go over now to the SP chef. The SP chef sat down with L. Ron Hubcult, who is out in Denmark. And L. Ron Hubcult was sharing a story of how a Scientology executive director was abusing his power of authority. I know this is a shocker. You guys are probably just blown aback right now going, what, Natalie? Somebody in Scientology used their power to abuse or intimidate or take advantage of people? What is this craziness she's speaking? No surprise. No surprise. Itchy Thetans, L. Ron Hubbard's rebranding, the devil equals Xenu. Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Lori plays. Natalie, can you come down to Florida to get distracted in my house, please? Oh, I'm telling you, I just like, you guys know cleaning is like my default. I don't know. I do not like to cook, but I do like to clean. I like to put in order. I wish I had more time to do it because there's a lot of order to be put in around this house. Let me tell you, I need to get to it. But right now we're going to get to this, the SP chef talking to L. Ron Hubcult.
Staff members were brought to his house to renovate his house for free. And then, here it comes to backlash. I was backlashing. Okay, it has nothing to do with the Narconon or Scientology. Yeah.
Now, backflash in Scientology means basically to talk back, to not just answer the question or execute the order. So if I said to you, oh, okay, you guys need to, stack all this toilet paper across the room, and you say, well, why are we doing that? That's backflash. That's backflash, and you need to knock it off. Literally something like that, asking for even clarification. Depending on the person, depending on the Scientology senior, this is especially in the Sea Org. If you just need to do it. You need to figure out and you need to do it. You cannot question or push back on it or anything like that. You're completely indoctrinated to follow and execute the orders that you're given exactly as they are with no alteration whatsoever, or putting in your own thoughts or questions into it. Does that sound like a cult? I think it sounds like a cult. It definitely sounds like a cult. It's super culty. Yeah, that's definitely a cult thing. Okay, now let's go over. I just love it when Scientology Audit Streets LA shares these clips of when he's been in front of the Scientology Testing Center or the Elon Hubbard Life Exhibition, and the way that the Sea Org members scatter, just run. Because this is what they've been doing ever since they realized that going out and confronting Scientology Audit Streets LA, William Good, or any of the live streamers or protesters for that matter is going to backfire on them horribly. And they just don't do it anymore unless you're in an organization somewhere where they didn't get the memo and they're still going out and doing that. I don't know. But let's take a look at this because it's just one of my favorite things. And I love when he shares this.
Hi, come on, run, up, go. Gotta go. Bye.
right into the back room there, just taking off when you show up with a camera. I'm pretty sure now they are being drilled on how to avoid a camera or how to avoid being videotaped. It probably, can you imagine them practicing the drill? Okay, you're sitting at your desk and you're working and you see a camera. What do? Avert your eyes, run into the back, go into the locked door, avert your eyes. Oh, put your hair in front of your face. Make sure they can't see you. Because remember, the Sea Org, Scientology, David Miscavige, does not want people to see the faces, especially of Sea Organization members who are there executing a billion-year contract. Why? Because they could be identified. Some of these people are missing in the eyes of their family and friends because they haven't seen them in decades. Years, decades, no communication from them. They don't want to be identified. Someone might see it, and this has happened, and go, oh, wait a minute, that's Uncle Joe. What's happening? Hey, that's my cousin. That's my sister. That's my brother. That's my grandpa, whatever it is. They don't like it. It causes trouble. It creates what in Scientology is called a potential trouble source situation. You become the PTS. And when you become the PTS, you cannot do services within Scientology until your situation is handled, which involves disconnecting from the person questioning or pushing back on Scientology. That's just how it goes. That's how they do it in Scientology. Okay, now let's go take a look at a clip from Jessica PALMADESSA. Jessica PALMADESSA was out in Hollywood and there were all these police officers there. She's like, what's going on? Because it wasn't far from Elon Harbors life exhibition. Well, it turned out Solomon was being swatted. He was in handcuffs for 30 minutes because of a false call claiming something that did not occur. And Scientology Audit Streets LA showed up. Jessica PALMADESSA was there. Audit LA too. Let's take a look.
What's a Citizens app even say? Let's see. Nothing came up on my thing. Report to shots fired. Police are responding to a 911 call of shots fired into a parking lot.
Never answer any questions. Never answer. Just say I think all right,
and Audit LA is there giving him some advice. He's now speaking to the police. He's out of the handcuffs at this point, but he was in the handcuffs for 30 minutes for a false call, which is pretty quick to determine that what was said on the call is not true. That is not the situation. Why is he kept in handcuffs for so long? Well, of course, he's kept in handcuffs until until the Good father shows up and lets them know what's what. But that is it's dangerous. It's, unfortunately, swatting outside of even Scientology has become a very dangerous issue across the internet, especially for people who live stream. This is not something happening only in this community. It's happening outside of it as well. And it's gross. There was a kid recently arrested for doing it, and he was like 11 years old. What are you doing? What are you doing that at 11? Seriously, you're not even in Scientology. Like, how does that happen? Sometimes I forget that there are people who weren't in a cult that also, for whatever reason, do stuff like that. Okay, so moving on from that, let's go to San Francisco because there was a little bit of a confrontation. Well, not even really a confrontation, but an interesting thing happened when Club Brain Fog was outside of Scientology in San Francisco and comes across a Scientology staff member who appears to be trying to recruit a young woman. And I'm going to play the clip so you can see it. But what you don't see that happens is the staff member positions herself between Club Brain Fog and the person she's trying to recruit. She basically goes close and it sounds like tries to block Club Brain Fog from seeing or speaking to the young lady who's walking by, as if, it's like sometimes Scientology think they got it in the bag. They're going to get this one in. She's going to come to a personality test. She's going to come watch a film. She's going to buy a book. It's like, no, probably not. So let's take a look at this. I hit the wrong thing. Here we go. So Club Brain Fog out in San Francisco.
She's the one I want. I'm sorry. You don't want to do that with them. Are you really standing there next to me? Oh my God. Where are they getting the cojones from? She stopped right next to me. Okay, so let's... Oh no, she's still running away. There's no way to run away up there. Let's do this. Oh no, they're stopping. We can go back and forth now. It's a cult. You'll give them hundreds of thousands of dollars before you get to the highest level. I'm sorry. It's a cult, guys. Just admit it and move on. It'll cost about $250,000 to get where you want to get in this cult.
Yeah, love that. I love seeing when people are there live streaming and letting people know that one-on-one contact, because not only is that one person, if you have a conversation with someone and you educate them about Scientology and why it's a cult, but then people see it on the internet. They're going to watch it on the replay. They're going to see it here in other places where it gets shared. And people who may not be there right there in San Francisco will hear the same message. That's why I love live streaming in front of Scientology so much, because you're basically just showing that nothing is happening there. You know, you're out there. Scientology's fear is that Scientologists all over the world will start to catch on that nothing's happening in Scientology. And when you go into their big, beautiful buildings, which they are, all you get is nothing. Nothing. Those people are in there turning the lights off so that they don't have to pay the full electricity bill. Nothing is happening. This is what it sounds like inside of a Scientology org. Oh, I'm sure they love that. I am just sure they love that. Okay. Oh, thanks for the reminder, Joe. Everybody head over to the like button and give it a little bit of an aloha tap. Check your subscribe as well and set your notification bell to all so that when I go live, hopefully you get, you know, an alert. Okay. So where am I now? Let's, Austin. We got to talk about Austin. Okay. You guys know that Austin org, Scientology, is right next door to UT, which I think is at University of Texas. And what's happening right now, we're also going to talk about this happening in Chicago. The kids are moving back in. The kids are moving back into school. And Scientology is trying to get their hooks into them. And young people everywhere need to be educated and get the word out. And thanks to social media, that is being done. It needs to be done more, that Scientology is a cult, not to fall for it. For some of these kids, this is the first time that they've been away from home for any length of time, let alone not living at home. So it's a huge deal. And some of them might miss home, feel different feelings. It's all part of the process of growing up and getting out there in your first step, going away from home. For me, when I was 15, when I got sent for Scientology training in the Sea Org, and not the same as college at all, but similar in feelings, probably worse, but you get the point. So Scientology wants to jump on that and be like, hey, we're your friends. We'll be your family while you're at college. We can help you. Are you feeling stressed? Do this personality test. Let's take a look. While you're in those key years of trying to figure out who you are, let us in Scientology help you do that by getting you stuck on the bridge to total freedom. It is such BS. But let's take a look at this, because Miss Kim, this is in Austin, and she's been talking to kids as they go by, letting them know what is up, letting parents know, letting them know too that Scientology recruiters, that kids are reporting that they are on campus trying to recruit these college kids showing up for school again.
We're here for you. Thank you. Thank you.
And I love too, I don't know if you heard that. It sounded like some young people walked by and said, thank you for doing this. We're glad you're doing this. You hear this all the time in the background, especially from the young kids in the colleges near Scientology.
Yeah. They've been moving in all weekend. Hitzel told me Saturday that they had body routers out on campus. But she also said they had a booth on.
They had body routers out on campus and they had a booth. So this is a great thing. If you are out there live streaming or protesting Scientology, keep an eye. And if you go to SPTV.SPACE, there is a resource where if you see something, you can say something. If you see a booth set up, if you see Scientology recruiters set up, you can go to SPTV.SPACE and you can share that information so that somebody who might be in the area who is interested in live streaming or protesting outside Scientology can do that. So that is a great resource to have and be aware of. And if you have kids, if you have nieces, nephews, grandchildren, whatever it is, headed back to school, especially teenagers and kids going into college, now is a good time to tell them to keep an eye out. Because what Scientology is also going to try with back to school, they're also going to go after the younger kids. They're going to try and get into schools with their Truth About Drugs program. They're going to try and get into schools saying that we want to teach them about human rights, youth for human rights. If you go to Scientology.org, they list all their front groups right on there. They just tell you up front, here are our front groups. But the thing is, off of those groups come other front groups, because Scientologists start realizing, ooh, if I say truth about drugs, people now know that that's Scientology, so I'm going to call it something else. If I say human rights, people know it's Scientology. You know, Citizens Commission on Human Rights is a Scientology front group. So let's call it Youth for Human Rights. No, still a Scientology front group. We see you and we are watching. We are. And we're talking about it here. And remember, if you guys see something, say something, Natalie at lifeafteroccult.com. Miss Kim is saying so many students already know Scientology bad, but still get many asking questions. Interesting. Them understanding why it's harmful, what the abusive practices are, would go a long way with anyone really, because to have a reason why really solidifies it rather than just saying, don't do that, right? It's like, well, don't touch the stove. Okay, well, if you're really young, why? Because it's hot and you might burn yourself. And still, some people are still going to touch the stove. One of my kids, for sure, back in the day, will find out that it is hot and then we'll never touch it again. But you don't want people to have to learn that way about cults and about Scientology. Your cautionary tale is right here, right here. Just listen. And to other people who are sharing their stories about having left and escaped from Scientology. That's all you got to do. Let them know what's up that way. Okay, let's go to Chicago now, where heavy recruitment efforts by Scientology, which are failing, have been happening, including Scientology getting people to go into the dorms of these college students to try to promote and recruit people for Scientology. So let's take a look at this. This is Wendy City Thetan Watch, and it's college move-in day. There's some blind tech that happens. Wendy City Thetan Watch is going to show us what is happening in the org right now.
Not sure where DKNY came out of, but you're seeing an awful lot of people come out of the college, right? Howdy, antics. Yeah, you're seeing just an awful lot of activity here in the college. The blinds are up, but we can get those down quickly. There is nobody, right? There are 0 people in this corridor.
That's the thing. There's nobody there. Nobody there. Nobody there. Nobody by reception except Jessica there. Jessica sees Wendy. So, of course, Jessica's going to come over and close the blinds because that's how they do. This is a little dance that happens almost every day. Then the blinds are closed because we can't have people seeing that nobody is in Scientology, that nobody is in there doing anything, just the staff members and maybe a couple of people. So he goes, and also we got a clip here from Wendy City Thetan Watch, where he's handing out cards with information where people can go down the rabbit hole and discover why Scientology is a dangerous human trafficking cult. Check this out.
Is one of your children, one of the students? Okay. Yeah. Tell them to be very careful of this place. This is the cult of Scientology. They're going to try and pass them out flyers, things that are very nice. This church is money. It's just a business for the most part. And they've done abuses like child abuse, elder abuse. If you ever want to learn more information, right? The woman on top, she died at their hands because of mental illness.
Oh my God.
This one, he did auditing, which is the idea that you do therapy talks with people in the church. Oh, and then they hold it against you as blackmail so that you can't ever leave in that space. Children in a room listening to adults talk about the most perverse things in the world, and they have to stay in there. So be very, very careful. I hate that they only allow freshmen in this dorm now. So every year I've got to recycle and educate. And again, I'm not saying that they're unintelligent. It's if you're uninformed about what's going on here, it looks very simple at the earliest ages. So
Yep. Letting the people know, letting the parents know. Some of them already knew, which is always exciting. So they're just finding out more information. Or it's amazing how many didn't know that Scientology was right next door to these freshman dorms. So many of them didn't know that as well, which is why it's so important to have people, especially when Scientology is so near these colleges, to let them know and be out there educating and raising awareness.
Don't ever go anywhere near this group. It's a cult of Scientology. It's just a money-hungry group. They're going to send you in, and they're very abusive. If you ever want to learn more about what they do, this is just a few of the crimes that they're involved with.
Oh, yes, please. Actually, thank you.
No problem. And it's always freshmen. They always put freshmen in here, and I'm worried that I have to keep on and I'm not saying that you're unintelligent. You're probably misinformed, right?
Did I just play that one? I feel like I did. Okay, there is another one. I just love these conversations that he's having with the parents, not just the kids, so that the parents can keep an eye on it while their children are there.
I'm just against this organization. I'm an independent person that I don't. So I know people that have escaped. And by the way, when you have to leave a church and they call it escaping, they spent hundreds of millions of dollars to build this building, and they have 0 new members since they opened it in March. And that's why we come out here and protest. We want to make sure that they keep that number flat at 0. Thank you. In there. I'm just against this organization. I'm an independent person that.
Yep. Letting them know. And then there's this last clip from Wendy where some parents are aware of the situation and Scientology being next door and getting, I don't know if it's Scientologists or people doing things on behalf of Scientology, because we did hear that someone was paying college kids to go in and hand out Scientology propaganda. I hope they just took the money and didn't do it.
So do your children know this is? So this is the Church of Scientology?
Oh, yeah.
It's absolutely a cult, so please make sure that.
We saw that going in when we were like YouTubing.
All right.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
I don't. So do your.
I mean, you can just hear how busy it is there. Just all these kids are moving in. So I'm so happy that he's there doing that, and other people too, who are especially around schools right now, because they're coming for your kids. Whether they're high school, elementary school, college age, Scientology is trying to infiltrate these academic institutions because they're not getting second, third generation Scientologists like they used to. Second and third generation Scientologists are, many of the younger second gens are being raised with the internet. So they have more exposure to social media and are seeing some of this going on. I'm telling you, it is something that we all need to be aware of. I agree, Marissa. They should warn students at freshman orientation. Yep, they should. Lady Jane out. Is there a way we can maybe let the campus staff and security know about this? You know, that's a great question. Outside of doing it one-on-one or sending emails or showing up there, I'm not sure. But if you live in an area near a school, especially that is near Scientology, then, maybe you can reach out as a member of that community and go, hey, I live in the area. Want to make sure your students are aware of this. Are you aware that there has to be somebody on campus staff who is in charge of protecting the kids from outside influences like cults? You would think. Ooh, Jen says, is there a dean of students like someone with gravitas could talk to? Ooh, that's a good idea. It is. Yep. And he says some are aware of it. Some of them are aware of it. Is there a way we can send out an alert to the campus, to this campus, so they're aware? I do know that some of the people live streaming out there have spoken with campus security and others, but it seems too that, so you got to remember, Scientology has been busy what's called safe pointing themselves. They've been busy going over there and saying, hey, we are doing great things over here. We're about getting kids off drugs. We're about protecting them from the evil psychiatrists, and so on and so on and so on. There needs to be a counter to that, of which there is plenty right now. Selfless Self says, last time I was in front of the org, I got a weapons call. I'm now not allowed within 200 yards till court case is resolved. West Campus ambassadors help Scientology here in Austin. Interesting. West Campus ambassadors help Scientology here in Austin. I wonder why that is. Like, why would they be helping them? Like, what is in it for them? What is Scientology doing to convince these people that they're okay and that they're cool and that they should be allowed to be in there? I just don't know. What is it? Is it money? Is it resources? What is it? I would like to know. Marissa says colleges are constantly sending out PSAs to students. Okay, that's interesting. That's good. You would think so for sure. Yep. Haggis Basher, go on the university socials and send letters to student councils, fraternity, etc. Yeah, if any of you went to college and there's like a newsletter or a resource, reach out and let people know. However the word gets out about it, the word just needs to be gotten out about it. Okay, so speaking of kids, let's talk about somebody else's kids. Let's talk about Tom Cruise's kids, namely Bella. Bella Cruz, we don't hear a lot about. She lives in London. I know some years ago she went there and she was doing some pretty extensive Scientology training, some auditor training. I know she went to school to study, I think it was hair and makeup. She's got a fashion brand. She takes, some artwork of hers and puts it on totes and t-shirts. You don't hear a lot though. And I'm always curious when she starts to pop up. And there was this article that was Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman's daughter, Bella Cruz, says dreams come true as she shares rare video. Now, I have not even seen a recent picture of Bella. We only see the same photos over and over again from when she was younger. She's married to a Scientologist. So basically the video is Bella at a concert. And I don't know what the concert was. I don't know. Dreams come true could have meant like, she finally got to make it to that. But this article does kind of bring up to the surface again of who her parents are, how really behind the scenes and private Bella Cruz has been. And how that's why it's a surprise that the artist, who often posts her creations on her personal Instagram account, shared a rare glimpse of another of her passions on Sunday via a point of view clip on her Instagram stories, captioning the clip, "Dreams do come true." And like I said, the video was just of she was at a concert. I don't know what concert it was though, but I thought, interesting. Because I feel like, I don't know. These things aren't shared for no reason when it comes to Tom Cruise and Scientology. And they seem to, I feel like the Tom Cruise's other kids, Connor and Isabella, are starting to put more things out in the media. One might just wonder, does it have anything to do with Suri Cruz going to college and it making really big news right now? Are they trying to draw attention away from that? Is it kind of a media war? The more they come out with, the more then that, it's like won't be so obvious about what's happening with Suri Cruz. So there's this other article that says Katie Holmes will visit Suri at Carnegie Mellon University for family weekend, but not dad Tom Cruise, who is paying the tuition. So says Katie Holmes will be getting on an airplane soon. She's going to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to visit her daughter. So this is so end of September is family weekend, and Katie is allowed to visit her only child at that time. Well, of course she's going to do that. I remember doing that when my kids were in college, doing the whole family weekend thing and being her only child, going off to college like that. This is such a momentous occasion. It is such a milestone as a parent for a family. And I love that they're doing this together and they're moving on with their life. And I don't have any doubt that Katie Holmes has raised a daughter to be independent. What I would love to know, which, the truth is we might never know. What I would love to know is what Suri thinks about all this. Because think about it. It's not just not having your dad in your life outside of financially being supportive, which, okay, good, right? You should do that. But you're going all these milestones in your life to not have your dad be a part of it, but to see him out there doing other things. Some people, if you're estranged from a parent, you're growing up, you're not necessarily seeing that person. I guess it would be kind of like seeing their social media and them out with their other kids as you've been being ignored and, just like you don't even exist for all of those years. That's got to be hard too. And then to understand or know that it has everything to do with Scientology. that because of Scientology, Tom Cruise can't have a relationship with his daughter, with Katie Holmes. Technically, if he wanted to, he could, because we all know that that Tom Cruise has the ability to rise above the rules of Scientology and do what it is he wants. So I feel like this is his choice. This is his choice. Marissa says, I hope someday Suri is so successful she laughs at Tom's money and spills all. Yes, me too. I'm really curious about that because I just feel, I feel for her too, because again, not having, you know, to see your dad everywhere and not have him in your life, not have him at your thing. I mean, I know a bit about what that is like. When my parents divorced and my mom married a Scientologist and left my biological dad, I didn't see him for like 9 years, but I didn't see him in the news. I didn't see him, you know, jumping off buildings and doing all of these things while he was not being a dad to me at that time. I didn't, but she sees it. It's in the media. So I just really, I don't know. I feel for her. I really do. I really do. You know, and she is 18 now. So I don't know. I hope she looks into it, but I wish her well. And I'm glad that Katie Holmes is going to, you know, go ahead and visit her in school. That's just so great. That's so great. So I got it, you know, I got another clip, or not a clip. I think I'm going to show you something else. But first, just a little reminder. A reminder. David Miscavige, Office of Special Affairs, wake up, my lovelies. We are on to you. Every time you send somebody to a college, there are other people who are either going to show up, who are protesting, or are just going to let them know what the deal is, what is up with Scientology, and why schools and parents need to protect themselves. So it doesn't matter how many front groups you come up with, how many names you come up with for those front groups, we're going to know what they are and continue to get the word out and just shine a light. Just shine a light. That's what I see myself as doing. I'm just shining a light on Scientology. I'm sharing my story, my 35 years in Scientology, escaping with 3 generations of my family, and the stories of other people with experiences in Scientology. That's all we're doing. Scientology does all the work. So Office of Special Affairs, you're doing all of the work. This isn't even a fight, in my opinion, from where I sit. I don't even see it as a fight. I'm shining a light. You're doing all the work. Keep being culty. Keep doing that, because that is what people are learning about. And this is what they are saying all over the world, including in places like Denmark. In fact, you guys want to go check this out. This is happening in 15 minutes. Scientology Up North is going to be doing a video here. My notification is on. I've already liked it. Okay, good. Danish politicians call out for action against the Church of Scientology. This is going to be fabulous. So this is Scientology Up North. That is the link. It is also down below in the description of this video, as are all of the articles and videos that we highlighted here. So you guys go check that out. Go check that out. I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be finding out what's happening in Denmark. Let's see. Lady Jane out. I live in North Carolina. We don't have orgs here, but when I go visit my nephew for Christmas, I'm going to check out the Las Vegas org. Does anyone protest there? At times, but consistently, not that I'm aware of. So Lady Jane out, I would say closer till, maybe bring it up in the chat when we're closer till that date and find out if anybody is protesting in Los Angeles. You can, Las Vegas. You can also go to SPTV.SPACE and then scroll down to Nevada to Las Vegas, and you can see what live streamers are there that might be there who are still active. That might be a way to connect with people as well. Let's see, Justine, some can be asked of LAPD, why are they in the Cult of Scientology's wallet? They usually don't have an answer for that, but you know what? It never gets old asking. It doesn't. TN Treasure Finder, I would love for you to land an interview with Katie or Suri. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? That is the big part of what really drives me to grow this channel. Because when you grow a channel and you get bigger on YouTube, you have access to other people that wouldn't otherwise give you the time of day. So everybody, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, help me get the word out. Let's grow this channel even more. I want to thank all of you because we recently hit a milestone. We hit 4 million cumulative views since I started here on YouTube in December of last year. And that is largely due to all of you continuing to show up, continuing to amplify this message and get the word out. Just by watching the videos, you are sticking it to Scientology. They don't want you watching this. They don't. They definitely don't want you watching and talking to me. But there you go. We're going to do it anyways. And I look forward to doing even more of that and being able to do more interviews, even with people who on YouTube will sometimes cover Scientology, will kind of touch into cults. And again, as I grow my channel, they will start to answer my emails. We will get there. So I want to thank you, all of you. And I want to thank my moderators for being here as well and helping keep the wheels on the bus as we get through, whether it's interviews or the recap here. I appreciate all of you so much. And the members for your continued support. Thank you for that. I truly appreciate that as well. Hit that notification bell because I probably will jump on again later and do a little bit of a kind of a behind the scenes thing. We shall see, but that's kind of on the plan for today. In the meantime, everybody, I hope you guys all get out there and have an amazing cult-free day.